here in the perimeter, there are no stars. Out here, we is stoned. Immaculate.
Hello and welcome. This is the C86 show. I'm David Eastaugh. As you know, we love a special guest. This week it's going to be the New York artist Joan As Police Woman. Also, Joan Wasser, as she was originally. She's got a new album coming out on the 12th of June, which is going to be titled Real Life Evolution, which is exactly 20 years since releasing her much-loved debut album, Real Life. And she's re-recorded and reimagined the album in full, with guests including Iggy Pop. So this is the interview. So after several minutes of interesting but casual chat, we get down to the exciting subject of the early formative years. Joan, it's over to you.
I used to go through the bins at the Salvation Army, which is like the, the charity shops.
Yes.
And you could get vinyl for 25 cents for a quarter. And like when I was very young, like my parents they were born during the Depression. They were not Beatles parents. They were pre-Beatles. So the albums they had that I was interested in, like Judy Garland.
Right.
So I would listen to that. And I mean, she is such an extraordinary emoter, expresser of pain, really. You can hear that in her voice. But, I used to buy vinyl from the charity shops, and I remember seeing the Axis Bold as Love.
God, Jimi Hendrix
cover, and I was like, wow, what's this? And I brought it home, and my life was changed. I mean, it still is. That album is like, doesn't really get old. You can always hear more stuff in it. Also, his lyrics don't really age. They're still so, I feel like, very poetic right now. So that was like when I was like 9 or 10, and that was really, that was something else. I was like, oh, the world is bigger than I know.
Right.
And I like it.
Well, yes, absolutely. So that was your. I know we used to have Woolworths, and they used to have a bargain bin of singles, which were like 10 pence.
And we also had Woolworths.
And that was also a go-to place. I do seem to remember a lot of people used to. That was their shoplifting period, really. Woolworths.
Yeah.
I don't think the staff were that worried about the 10p singles getting taken. Did you start to play any music when you were much younger? Was music sort of thrusted on you at all? Did you sort of start taking piano and violin lessons or anything like that?
When I was 8, my public school offered. Public school is actually the free school in the U.S. I know it means private school to us. Your public school means private school to us. So otherwise, this was like the school everyone went to. They offered, this was in the 70s, they offered violin, viola, cello, or bass. And you could rent an instrument for $10 a year so that anyone could do it. So anyone could take, no matter how much or little money their family made. So, this was the 70s.
This is very groovy.
Oh, yes, exactly. So I was 7 or 8, and, there was we all, arrived in the auditorium, and people came and like did a demonstration of playing violin. And I was like, I want the most portable one, I want and so I started playing violin. I studied violin classically through university.
Right.
Yeah. And so And the great thing is my parents were supportive of music, but not in any way pushy. They really opposite of stage parents. Opposite. So they, they wanted me to do it if I wanted to do it, which I think is why I still make music.
Well, yes. It's
yeah.
And did you have any older brothers or sisters that often sort of have, I don't know, massive influences on one's life? I had an older brother who was 7 years older, and he was into prog rock, which I obviously found quite fascinating. Did you have any kind of elder?
I did not know. I was a musical explorer from early on. I wanted to consume as much as I could get my hands on. And it's funny that you mentioned Rush, because I was so into prog rock and loved Rush, and all of those bands there. It was just like I really related to it. And it was like me and a bunch of the guys from math class. Literally, it was like we were all obsessed with the prog stuff, and this was like in early middle school and stuff. And then it just launched me directly into like punk rock and new wave and all of that. Mm-hmm.
So with our prog rock, it was like people like Yes, Genesis, Wishbone Ash, Barclay James Harvest, and then it came, a little bit like Rush and various other conceptual people. So what's the American? Is that the same with the American prog rock? Would you have gone back to the work of Rick Wakeman and John Anderson? Would that have been there, or was that a bit too Alice in Wonderland and a bit fanty?
Oh no, that was there. That was there. Yeah. Also, the fact is like radio was so different. I would listen to the AM radio would be on when I would be getting ready for school. And where I grew up, it was like mostly, the hits were like the Jackson 5 and like Diana Ross and Donna Summer,
Yes.
And then, the rock radio that you would just like flip to the FM, and like rock radio would have, they would be playing Jethro Tull. They would be playing Yes.
Fantastic.
All of it was on the radio. So it was right there. You didn't even have to search for it.
Well, absolutely. Did you you would be the MTV generation, really, weren't you? You would have been right for that teenage period of MTV.
Oh yeah. I was born in 1970.
Yes. So did you then sort of get into the Bon Jovi, Bruce Springsteen, glam metal period of the sort of?
That was never me. I went directly into like the Smiths, Susie and the Banshees.
Right.
Yeah, I loved also I loved Black Flag. Like my first concerts were Black Flag and the Bad Brains.
Right.
Like that was the first stuff I saw. And then my first big concert was Adam and the Ants.
Adam, my God, with Marco Peroni on guitar.
Oh my God, I was obsessed.
I'm not surprised. We loved Adam.
Yeah.
And I love Marco.
The music is incredible. I think it stands up. All the Peel sessions, those Adam and the Ants Peel sessions, extraordinary.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, the 80s for me, obviously I've been an indie kid, it was very marked with the Smiths from 83 to 87, 5 years of Morrissey and Mars were the soundtrack, but then there was all the other bands like The Cult, The Cure, you mentioned Susie and the Banshees, and then all the other indie bands that sort of came. But then you would have been that age in the UK then, sort of towards the late 80s, there was definitely, bands have a 5-year narrative, I find. They get together, 12 months, honeymoon, they get a single, a John Peel session, and a John Peel play, first album, The Little Transit Van, Happy Days. Second album, not so happy, but they're sort of doing it. And then the third album, they kind of explode in a great mess, really. But then every kind of period, there's a sort of new wave of teenagers that come along, or 16 to 18-year-olds. So by the late 80s, that ecstasy world came along, and then we sort of suddenly had the, Happy Mondays, Stone Roses, and then shoegazing with My Bloody Valentine. And obviously the Seattle scene with, I don't know, well, we had the Throwing Muses and Pixies on 4AD, and then we had Bleach and Nirvana, that album. So it changed, but you would have been 18, 19. What was your late 80s like then at that stage?
Yeah, I never got into the Manchester, that ecstasy thing. That was never me. I really was into, the fact is here in New York City, it was hip hop.
Oh, yes.
That was so strong. Yo Bum Rush the Show, the first PE album, and then Takes a Nation of Millions, Sold Us Back. That was so what was happening.
Did you watch the film Do the Right Thing? Spike Lee.
Oh, sure. Everyone did. In the US, everyone did.
And was LL Cool J and the Beastie Boys also part of that Yo Bum Rush the Show period?
Yeah, not as much. Not as much. It was like Public Enemy was huge. Public Enemy was huge for me.
Good old Chuck.
Because not only was the music punk, it was just straight up punk rock to me. But then you had Chuck D.
Chuck. We love Chuck.
Who is a teacher. So it was like the ultimate combination of punk rock and history. It was just like it was everything. I was so excited about music because I loved the intensity of those, I used to go to the CBGB's hardcore matinees every Sunday as a teenager. And I just loved that really intense music. I love it. Especially as a teenager, it's perfect for teenage angst.
Well, absolutely.
It's yeah.
I was going to say, did you get Adele Berte's latest book? Dear old Adele. She's the one in the middle. A Memoir
of No Wave and the Women Who Shaped the... No, but I'm sure that's incredible.
She's doing a lot. She's doing the rounds at the moment, so you'll come across it. Yeah, so you were a teenager in New York.
I grew up right outside of New York City, so I would take the commuter rail. I was so lucky. I had access. Yeah.
Did you was Max's and the Mud Club, was that on the scene as well at that point, as well as CBGB?
They were there, but I was a teenager, so I couldn't get in. But I could get into CBGB's.
Good.
And I could go to there were all these shows happening on the piers on the West Side. So I saw Susie and the Banshees twice on the piers in the 80s. I saw good. Echo and the Bunnymen. It was the best time, for seeing all of this incredible music.
So you were,
go ahead.
I was going to say, so then as we navigate into the 90s, you've left university at that stage. And then you joined your first band in the early 90s, the Dam Builders?
Yeah, 1990. I was really on top of the whole sub pop thing.
Right. So you had...
I saw all of those bands the first, second, third, fourth, fifth times they came through on tour. Tad and Soundgarden and Nirvana. I saw Nirvana the first time they played. I was in Boston to study classical music, and I saw Nirvana with like 4 other people. That was true for most of the first times all those sub pop bands came in. But I really thought it was very exciting.
Well, yes. I guess Chad was on drums at that stage, wasn't he?
Yep. Yes.
There you go. I know. Yeah. I did an interview when they came to the Art Centre, actually. They were supporting Tad. And they were there. Yeah. I remember it well, having to ask who was, because there was only Bleach and there was no pictures on the album.
Yeah.
But yes, there was only like 200 people. And it was very exciting because John still had that compilation
record.
called Sub Pop 100, and then there was a Sub Pop 200, and it was just like such an amazing sound at that time. So
yeah,
because I'd loved Husker Du in the 80s, and that was my one of my favorite bands. And then you sort of heard Kurt Cobain and thought, this is good. I'm enjoying this stuff.
Yeah. The combination of like punk rock and like Cheap Trick.
I know. Live at Budokan was one of my favorite albums by Cheap Trick, I have to confess.
Yeah.
I cringe when I play it now.
It's amazing. Because it's amazing.
It is. I absolutely love it. I mean, Surrender is just one of those classic songs.
Oh, please. It makes me cry now.
So the 90s then, you're very prolific in the 90s, and you joined, this is the Dam Builders your first band, by the way, that you've joined?
I mean, I was in a couple of other bands. I played a lot with my really good friend, Mary Timoney, who was playing, who had her own band called Helium.
Oh, yes.
And so we met the first day of university in 1988, and we've stayed really close friends since, but she had already made bands, she was already like, she was a guitar player. So I did a lot of playing with her, just her and I. And that was so instrumental for me just understanding that maybe I could be in bands myself.
Yes. Had you sort of up to then, were you thinking you were going towards a more classical world at that stage?
I mean, I was studying classically, and I love that music. I love the tradition. I love all of it. I pretty quickly understood that it was going to be great for me to learn mostly discipline around an instrument, because like where I had grown up, I was like pretty easily the best because it was just like regional orchestras and all state and stuff. And then when I got to school, I was the worst. And I was so grateful. It was horrifying, but I knew there was more out there that I didn't know I was, that I didn't have access to. No. And, I was like forced to like change my entire technique and just go through this whole thing where then I had to learn also to practice many hours a day, which is also something I never did. But what that taught me is, and this sounds really stupid, but that practicing makes you better.
Yes, it's like, is it Malcolm Gladwell, his 10,000 hours or something? Or 100,000.
Oh, right. Yes. Yes. Right. Exactly. If you do something a lot, you get better at it. And that's not, I mean, it's like, of course I knew that, but there's nothing like actual experience in that. Yes. And really seeing what else it does besides make you better. It also just like, it changes your brain into a thing that you like better.
That's interesting, isn't it? Yes, I guess it's. I guess it is discipline, isn't it? Really, and was was the band was a good experience? The Dam Builders. Did you enjoy?
Fantastic experience. I am so very grateful that I got to be in that band because they were all amazing musicians and incredible people. And like, for instance, the guitar player, Eric Masanaga, he was just really enthralled with recording. So he had bought a 2-inch Studer, a 2-inch 16 track. And so we were recording, and he had rented this tiny room in this practice space and put that in there. And we recorded all of our first stuff on like the best, tape machine. And who has access to that? Not that many people. You have to pay for studio time and pay for an engineer. But he was so thrilled with learning about it that we made our records on that in the practice spaces often.
My God.
Yeah. And then the singer, bass player, Dave Derby, incredible songwriter, amazing lyricist, and really melodic bass player, which and singer at the same time. And so, watching him sing these, play quite complicated bass parts while singing, I was just like, wow, it was like, it was wonderful. And it also the way they played left room for me to develop a sort of rhythm style violin playing with pedals and stuff, because I never wanted to be that like top line violin player. I just thought that was so corny and done already,
Yes. So when you got to, because did you work on 3 albums with the Dam Builders, or was it?
Yeah, we made an EP, and then we made 3 albums with. Yes, that was their first album. I was not on that.
Right. But then Ruby Red is the kind of one where it all
That was the second album. The first record was called, oh my God, you are going to make me think about that. You're going to make me use my memory.
Album. Is it called
Encendedor? That was our first album. Right. Second album, Ruby Red. Third album, Against the Stars. Yes. But we had released an EP called Tough Guy Problem. That was really special. And then we were also doing an album of the 50 for one song for each state.
Oh.
So we released a million 7 inches.
I could imagine, actually. That's quite a nice project, really. I know Peter Gabriel's releasing a single on the full moon for the year, which I think is a nice cosmic kind of holistic idea, actually. I do like that. Did you then sort of did you then become more of an instrumentalist on that particular journey? Because did you go into guitar and keyboards as well as singing?
Yes, I did. Really, I wasn't singing much. I was screaming. If ever I was opening my mouth, I was screaming. But yeah, I picked up the guitar, picked up keys, extremely rudimentary. I mean, I still feel like I'm very rudimentary because, it's like Nina Simone exists and, like Jimi Hendrix exists. Like, it's like I'll always, no matter how good I get, I will always consider myself rudimentary on any instrument, especially also since I did study the violin to a certain degree.
Yes. Well, I think Jimi Hendrix was very shy when he sung. He didn't want anybody to watch him, so it's fine, isn't it? And you started playing, you went to some big festivals as well. What was that experience like? Lollapalooza and people like, was that
Yeah, Lollapalooza in 1995. Yeah, that was really fun. We were playing the second stage. We were playing with the Far Side. That was really, it was like debauchery is what it was.
Yes.
The Jesus Lizard, who were my friends and who were opening the main stage, one of the best live bands of all time, the Jesus Lizard, like literally. So I got to see them play every night. And then Cypress Hill were also on that tour. So, I remember like looking for weed at that time and finding one of the guys and being like, yo, can you help me with this? And they were like, come along, honey, and then I was like, in their backstage room with, they had like a posse of like 30 dudes and like, a mound of weed the size of a Volkswagen Beetle.
Well, I would have thought, yes.
Yeah, so it was like full debauchery and really, really fun.
Good. Well, that's good. But then how do you the 90s? I mean, it starts with, say, I don't know, Nirvana, and then it finishes on Woodstock 99, doesn't it? I don't know if you've watched the film, or you might have even been there, but
I have not.
It doesn't end well, does it? The 90s music scene goes, kind of optimistic to, oh my God, this is horrendous. And then obviously, things can't continue because it's horrendous. How do you shape the 90s kind of scene? Because you were part of it, but not
yeah,
in a sort of in a 3-day of hell festival.
Oh, yeah, I don't actually know anything about Woodstock 99, and I think there's probably a reason why. Um, I mean, the 90s, like Stereo Lab, what an amazing thing that was. The Breeders,
I know,
massive.
yeah.
The Breeders are just like they're huge for me.
Yes.
In every way. And Kim Deal, everything everything Kim Deal has done has been brilliant.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
interesting. There's a very good book on Stereo Lab that I was vaguely looking at to see if I could find it. I did an interview with the author a couple of weeks ago, so it's a bit of a page turner if you get a chance when you're in the UK, because probably package and postage is probably horrendous between the two countries.
Yeah.
So what was the reason for the Dam Builders coming to an end? Because I mentioned my 5-year narrative of bands, but you lasted a bit longer, probably 6 or 7.
Things, it's just like we had done so much touring. The label we were on for sure did not understand where to put us. It was a strange time where the major labels were signing all of these bands like ours that were pretty indie. We were pretty indie. We certainly had songs that did well, but like ultimately we erred on the side of experimentation um and like intense sounds and stuff. We loved Gang of Four.
Yeah.
It's like so they would put us on the road opening for these bands that did not correspond to what we were about, like sort of like these like collegey mediocre.
Right.
So so we got really beat down. And then just things within the band got complicated. Just basic
These
human
things happen. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they did. They do. So
and then was your next band Black Beetle, or was it Anthony and the Johnsons?
No, it was Black Beetle. That arose from sort of the attempt to stay alive after Jeff died. Michael, guitarist in his band, Parker, drummer in his band, and I put a band together to continue to make music and just like have a reason to go to the next rehearsal.
Well, quite. God, that was that was just crap, wasn't it? Really. God, there's no other word for it, really, is it? Yeah. So then Anthony Johnson's came along.
That was in '99. I joined Anoni's band in '99, and that was really helpful because that music was very quiet
and just absolutely amazing. Hope There's Someone. I wept once when they played that at a theatre production.
Oh yeah,
it was just.
I can't not weep every time I hear it.
It's too much, isn't it? Yes. Was that a kind of a savior, that period?
Yeah, for sure.
And then, when did you decide to step out and become a solo artist?
Things started to get messy within Black Beetle. I went out on I started making my own music in 2002. And I played solo for a while and then asked the extraordinary drummer Ben Porowski to play with me. So then we played as duo for a while. That was a really exciting period for me. I was writing my own songs for the first time, and I recorded an EP in 2003 with our friend Oren Bloedow on bass. Incredible musician. He's played on my stuff throughout. He's actually on the new record, Real Life Evolution. And then I joined Rufus Wainwright was going out with at that time Want One.
Right.
And he needed a violinist, guitarist, singer. And so I auditioned and got the gig, and was also opening those shows solo.
God, that must have been a great confidence booster.
Well, to be playing for a bunch of people that had never heard of you, that were there to see Rufus, it was sometimes a confidence booster, sometimes absolutely harrowing. Playing in his band was an utter joy. 7-part harmony, it's like also those albums I played. It was Want One and Want Two. I toured with him. Those albums are absolute genius. And to be a part of making that music live, which is just like, it's very orchestral.
Yes.
And very, it's incredible. That was really fun. But I learned so much opening those shows solo, about what worked, what didn't work, how to behave on stage while I'm recording, while I'm performing, by myself for people that don't necessarily want to hear anything other than Rufus. So yeah, that was, ultimately amazing, but at times very difficult. But that's how you grow.
Yes.
In that time, I was writing the new album, what would be my first album, Real Life, and recording it in my downtime.
Yes, that's amazing. So then 20 years later, you've re-recorded Real Life, haven't you?
Yeah.
What was it like kind of revisiting those songs?
Well, I've played all of them throughout the years in different ways. And music, I am never interested in perfecting the recording of a song to play live. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. You already have the recording. Go listen to the recording if you want to hear the song in exactly the same way. Like, I'm going to try to retain things that I think really make the song work live, and then add all sorts of stuff, or in most cases, take everything out. Just really try to distill it to the parts that work the best. And, and then I try to play with musicians that I respect enough to allow them to find what works for them, what's fun for them to play. We creating arrangements with other musicians is one of the delights of my life. So the songs have changed throughout the years, and sometimes radically.
Yes.
So
because I remember when Joni Mitchell, this is probably, I was going to say years, it's decades, but I remember when she brought out a compilation, and it was much more of an orchestral but softer version of her early work, and it felt so romantically melancholic. It was beautiful, but just had taken it, the lyrics suddenly came out, and listening to the first few singles that you've released, it has a sort of similar it resonates in the same way. And I just wonder what it was like for you, sort of revisiting those last songs that you had written over 20 years ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, as I said, like I've played them throughout this whole time. And I feel very grateful that somehow I'm still really attached to those songs.
Yes.
I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I was writing my first album at a time where I actually had something to say. I'd already lived a lot of life actually, and and gone through a lot of difficulties. So, imagining what a record that I had written 15 years before that would sound like. I don't know that I would ever, I don't know because I didn't do it, but I feel like returning to those songs would feel different.
Yes.
So I feel very grateful that I was able to put out my first album when I was 35.
God, yeah. But yes, you lived a long, long time. Because you worked with some amazing, what was the famous, because you worked with, God, who worked with Fela Kuti, Tony,
Yeah.
was it Tony Allen?
Yeah, Tony Allen.
What was it like working with him?
One of the highlights of my life. Yeah, I mean, he was like basically he created Afrobeat with Fela.
Yes.
He was the impetus behind that musical form. It is now a separate genre. So and just like learning who he was and how he got to the place that he did. I am so very grateful. I always loved Fela's music, but then I played with him for the first time through Damon Albarn and Ian Burrell's Africa Express,
Right.
which I've been involved with since 2010. And we played together and just hit it off immediately. My first interaction is we were all standing around and I said something and I heard this laugh like just sort of explode behind me. And I turned around and Damon said, "You know Tony, right?" And I was like, "No." And that's how I met him. And then we just hit it off. And after playing with him for a few days, I heard myself say, "Tony, would you ever be into, recording?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, man, let's do it." And I was like, "What?" But he was a sonic explorer.
Yes. God, that must have pushed your creativity to another level, really, working with him.
Yeah, for sure.
Then when you followed up your, real life with To Survive, you worked with David Sylvian as well, didn't you, on the opening track, Honor Wishes. Mm-hmm. What was it like working with such a little, well, not a little, but an amazing character like David? How did you manage to sort of get that one on the in your repertoire?
Well, they had contacted me. He really liked my first album. And I first collaborated on one of his brothers' compositions.
Oh, I didn't realize he even had a brother.
Oh yeah, and yeah, who he made music with. David Sylvian is not his actual name.
No, I would have thought that might be the case actually.
I need to remember his brother's name.
I know,
radio. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to.
Yes, well, we'll just hum through this bit.
Okay, great. His brother. What the hell is his name? God.
Yes, I know. Tricky.
Is Steve. Anyway, Steve Jansen.
Right.
Steve Jansen. And I worked on a track with him. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. And so that's how David and I met. And then we just became friends. And I was like, yeah, you want to sing on my new album? And he was super into it. So he sang on Honor Wishes, and he sang on another track. My brain.
Yes, well, that's fine. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What was it? To Survive. So you had Rufus on one as well, didn't you? To America and Honor Wishes.
Yeah.
Oh, and No Question as well. He was on.
Okay, yeah, that was like a B-side or something.
That was the B-side. Because one of those albums which really kind of launches you into another world is on the album The Classic, which is the fourth studio album. This song Holy City, I mean that is an amazing song. Can you remember how that came about?
Yeah, I was in Israel. I was visiting Israel. My friend and I went because I wanted to see what it was about. I am not Jewish.
No, but I went to Israel and went on a kibbutz in the 80s.
Okay, yeah, exactly. I wanted to see what I couldn't get a feel for what was going on.
Did you go to Jerusalem and all the different parts?
Yeah, the Wailing Wall.
The Wailing Wall, yes.
I got to the Wailing Wall and I saw that there was one side where the men were, where they got to wail, and the other side where the women were, where they had to be silent. And I was just like, yeah, this ain't right.
No.
I could not believe it. I mean, I could, but it's just it's so, it's just one of those things where it's like, really, guys, let's progress. Let's evolve.
Yes.
But they're not interested because they're afraid. Anyway, so I wrote that song basically from that experience, and just the shock and awe I had at witnessing, because I am not religious at all, but I think it's, of course, unbelievably fascinating.
Yes.
It's history. It's history.
And
it's so I wrote that song about that experience.
God, I know it's and also musically it's got an incredible production to it as well. I mean, was that one of the albums that you felt that it was kind of bringing you to a larger audience and touring?
Well, the record before that, The Deep Field, that had the magic on it, and that had a lot of songs that did really well. But it had the magic, which I think is the song that is the most popular song.
Right.
So that that record came right after I had my first experience with Africa Express in Ethiopia. So there's a lot of actual source material that I just recorded from that trip to Ethiopia on that album. And then the next album, the Classic, that's an album that, again, we recorded in the practice space.
Right.
In our practice space, yeah. That was produced by the then keys player, Tyler Wood. Yeah.
Did you enjoy being in the studio? Was that a place that
studio is my favorite place to be. It's the best ever.
Right. So when you did the follow-up to the Classic with Let It Be, this is more of a collaborative.
Let It Be You, yeah.
Yes, Let It Be You. What was the reason for sort of having such a collaboration at that stage?
I met, Benjamin Lazar Davis, and we just really hit it off and started making music together. And then, we're just let's make a whole album of this together. And this was a completely different band from my band. And that album was based on this source material that Ben and I shared growing up, these pygmy flute music patterns. So, do you know that song "Watermelon Man"?
Yes.
So you know that initial sample?
Mm-hmm.
That is one of those. That is from that music that the Pygmies make. It's a one-note flute, and then they sing along with it, and it's just incredible patterns. And so we both had this album, and when we met, it was just like, wait, you have that too, and we created an album or sort of like based on those patterns.
Right.
Yeah, so that's why it was a different project.
Yes, but then you went back to Damned Devotion, which was that back with your sort of band and sort of
yeah.
Yes. And what was that like, because you'd been sort of doing quite a bit of music for a long time, and this was it your fourth or fifth album that you were then releasing? I just wondered whether the creative ability to keep enthusiastic was still with you, and the music industry. I just wondered what it was like at that point.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you listen to Damn Devotion, it's one of my most, in my opinion, exciting albums. I was like basically doing so much myself. I think I did 9 out of the 12 songs. I did the drum programming. I just did tons and tons of stuff myself, and that was so fun. A lot of sampling, a lot of just home studio stuff, which was thrilling. Yeah, which was thrilling for me.
And one thing that we always love is when an artist brings together their compilation of covers. Was that the did you have that feeling like David Bowie did pin-ups in the 70s and Annie Lennox has done one? A lot of people have. Did you also have that yearning to do a sort of a collection of covers for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I did one. I've always enjoyed rearranging songs. So I made that first covers album in 2009 from songs that I had just been playing. A lot of them I had been playing live. And then I did another one in 2020 or something. I just think it's really fun. It feels very freeing because the song's already written.
Yes.
So it's like, what can I find in this song that I can bring out more of? It's like sort of like some songs don't work,
Well, absolutely. And then, yes. And I don't know, I remember there was a band called Cigarette After Sex, which is an interesting title, but they do a fantastic cover of Keep On Loving You, which was by REO Speedwagon, which, to be honest, I found that a bit, I don't know, I was 16, so we quite liked it then, but then you realise it's, a bit corny. But then when I heard that version, I thought, my God, suddenly the lyrics seemed okay and the production was so different and it was kind of almost spoken word. And I thought, this is stunning. I really love this song. Perhaps I should rediscover REO Speedwagon. Perhaps not.
Well, it's amazing. It shows what delivery and production and arrangement can do. I mean, I know a little bit of that band and I haven't heard their cover, but they have an extremely signature sound that they use for every single track. So I can hear what they would do with it just thinking about it. And I can imagine that really working.
Yes, check it out.
Yeah.
It will blow your mind.
Yeah.
So the previous album you did was from this one, Lemons, Limes and the Orchards. Was this kind of material that you'd written during the lockdown period?
Yeah, it's all the stuff that I had written, but since the album before. It's just sort of like I don't really leave songs hanging, really. It's like whatever's happened since the last album is what's been on there. Some of it was written during that. I composed the whole Tony album during the lockdown.
Right.
So that was that. But So it's sort of like the stuff that I wrote between, and then I toured that a lot. So it was like the stuff that happened that was like written between 2022 and when that was released, 2024.
Yes. So
Yeah.
2021 was The Solution is Restless with Tony.
Yeah.
God, that was incredibly sort of prolific, actually, as decades go. Yes, and then we've got this next one. So you got a couple of singles out. When's the actual album going to be
June
released?
12th, exactly 20 years after the first one.
And then you're back on the road again.
Yeah.
Are you always on the road, by the way?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Mostly. Most times. Yeah. No, I love it.
And do you manage to write when you're on the road as well?
Writing on the road is hit or miss. I always, it sometimes, if I have access to a piano by myself, much more likely. If I don't, it's not as easy, but sometimes it happens. I like being in a quiet space by myself, so that's very hard to find on tour.
Yes.
But songs can come from anywhere. So sometimes
do you have a little notebook with little inspirational?
Oh, I have so many. Oh God. I have a notebook. I have a writing app on my computer. I take so many voice memos of little things I'll hear or, I have, extraordinary amount of little ideas.
Yes. And do you sort of, I mean, one of the things, I suppose, especially during one's younger period, but you sort of keep it going, is kind of film and literature. Are you constantly consuming other art forms to try and keep interested or inspired?
Yeah, I am. I don't know that I don't see that many films but I do read. I'm reading Diane Ackerman's something of the senses.
Right.
A natural history of the senses right now. Have you read that? It's incredible.
No, I haven't. But is it one you recommend it?
Absolutely recommend it. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what I'm reading right now.
So the album, you got the tour. Do you have any other little projects kind of in the pipeline?
Oh God. Yes, but you'll know about them when they happen. They're too nebulous right now. But I play with a lot of different people, and things will happen as they will.
Yes, well, I can see you have worked with a phenomenal amount of people, of quite a few, because I did an interview with dear old Joseph Arthur kind of about a year ago as well, and he's always coming to the UK playing at the West Hampstead Arts Community place as well, which is quite nice. And yes,
he's great.
he is very good. And Sheryl Crow, you've worked with her.
Yeah, I played on string sessions for her. Like that was ages ago. Was
that fun?
Oh yeah, so much fun. You know what? That was the first time I saw a woman producing, because she was out there talking to us about the song. And then someone had a question and she said, "Oh, let me check with my producer." And then this woman came out that I did not assume was the producer because I'd never seen a woman in that role. I was like in my mid-20s,
Right.
I'd never seen a woman in that role. And she said, "Everyone, this is my producer." And I was aghast. And I was like, oh my God, you can do that as a woman. So, I mean, I'm very grateful to Sheryl Crow for that.
Yes, well, I did love her first album, the Tuesday Night Music Club, which was a fantastic collection of tunes and stuff. What was the album that you worked on then with Sheryl Crow? Was it a very early one?
No idea.
Well, that's fair enough.
I have no idea.
It's
I'm
details.
sorry.
No, that's okay. Don't apologize.
Yeah, it's just not something I can just.
So with your studio work, just to say, you work with like Elton John, Lou Reed, John Cale. Is it, you've phoned, the phone goes, it's like, could you come into the studio and add some strings? Is that the case, or?
So with Lou, I toured with Lou and opened for him on his last tour. He was my friend.
Right.
And so I was in the band for that crazy record, Songs About Lulu, Songs for Lulu, or whatever.
Right.
The one he made with Metallica, but that he toured with an amazing band. So we made those songs really cool.
Nice.
And then I was opening for him solo. And then I did do a bunch of string stuff with him as well. John Cale, I've worked with him on his Nico shows.
Right.
And then also we've done some other recording together. And who else did you mention? Oh, Elton John, I performed live with him. I mean, that just gets on the CV because he's a huge name.
He is,
but
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh God, that sounds just amazing. And just as we sort of near the end here, do you go by Joan as Police Woman, or do you go by Joan Wasser?
Yeah, Joan As Police Woman. Yeah, it's a ridiculous name, but it's what I got.
And that was from Angie Dickinson.
Yeah, so there was a cop show that ran from 74 to 76 called Police Woman. And it was 2002, now you know, the year. And I was like, I had been playing solo shows and people thought that I was doing solo violin shows because they didn't know me as a singer or songwriter. So I saw my friend Ruben on the street and he said I was wearing some sort of I was blonde at the time, and I was wearing some sort of ridiculous pale blue polyester pantsuit. And he said, Joan, you're channeling Angie from Police Woman.
Right.
That's where it started.
And that's where it started. I do remember there was another, The Devil Went Down to Georgia, which was one of those classic singles from the late 70s, wasn't it? Can you remember that song?
Of course, because there's violin solo in it. Because Charlie Daniels is a violin player. He's an incredible country violin player.
And it became this massive
which was something I never was interested in doing, but was always on my radar because he was like a violinist in pop music.
Yes, and then there was bands like ELO with their fantastic string section.
That's a different story. That's some of the best music ever made, and also John Cale.
Well, I do love John Cale's kind of the album he did with Lou Reed.
Songs for Drella.
Yes, I know. Lyrically,
come on, incredible.
Yes, it was. I just thought that is, and it works. Do you, with your albums, do you spend a lot of time with your, placing them, putting the running order of tracks to make them?
Oh God, yes. It's endless.
Is it?
I'm glad I have deadlines because it's very hard to sequence an album.
Yes, well, absolutely.
Yeah.
And what about the covers? Because all your covers are very striking, aren't they? Do you put a lot of work into those as well?
Yeah. I put a lot of work into everything because it matters.
Yes, and one day someone will want to put an exhibition together of your work, and you don't really want one of those. What were you doing? That was terrible. Yes, but
you sure do not want that. Woo! Everything I release, I stand behind. Completely, and then I never listen to again.
Fair enough. It's kind of it's got to be done. The cover for the classic, though, where was that idea from? Because it is so beautiful and so unusual.
I guess it was like it was something about like the gold records, like the classic, and like Grammys are gold, just the whole, and Goldfinger, the whole thing. It's just like I was still finding that gold paint 3 weeks after I did that photo shoot.
I would imagine. Yeah,
it was fun, but it was not comfortable.
You wouldn't do it again, would you?
No. I did it.
You did it, yes. You only have to do.
I did it already. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I have yeah.
I was going to say, last album was on Play It Again, Sam, which is the Lemons, Limes and Orchards. What label is this next album going to be on?
Yeah, this is on my manager, who has a label called Reveal Records.
Yes.
We have this label together, and this is it's coming out on our label.
Brilliant. It's
yeah.
gorgeous. It's a bit like, I suppose Annie DeFranco does the same, doesn't she? She has her own label. Keep the ownership.
Really
do you own all your music, the publishing and master copy?
Some of it, some parts of it, and some of it, yes, and some of it, no.
Did you have a bit of, did you channel Taylor Swift and think, right, I'm re-recording real life, I'm going to own?
No, I don't have time for that. No, I don't. That's a different thing. She recorded everything so it sounded exactly like the originals. That's the opposite of what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, I have been mesmerized by, oh God, he says, because I've been listening to it. You've been in my ear all day, in my brain, listening to it.
Oh, nice.
It's been, I just think I do love the ride. It's just got such a beautiful quality to it. And lyrically, it's just so stunning. I have to say, it's been a delight. I love where's the lyrics here? I've got them here somewhere. I saw you today selling your clothes. You were done with Hollywood. The waterfall was rushing through you. That is poetry. It is gorgeous, isn't it?
Thank you so much. I mean, that's what I long to do. I long to put poetry to music.
Morning bird, I'll wait for you. How could I not? Yes, it does. It does touch one's spirit, doesn't it, really? So, yeah, well, I've really loved listening to the singles and hopefully get the album later. But, well, look, thank you ever so much.
You don't have the album yet. I'm so sorry.
Well, I've got the MP3s of the two.
Oh,
I know.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry you don't have the rest of the record, but I'm glad you had those two. I look forward to you getting the full album.
Yes, well, I haven't actually. But look, that's good. I think that's it. But look, have a lovely. Yes, well, I'll see you in Norwich next year.
In February.
In February, we'll be there. We'll be. Yes, there you go.
I'll see you there.
Definitely.
I'll see you in lots of clothes.
Absolutely, we'll definitely. Yes, and also you're coming to London, Europe.
November.
Germany, France. It's going to be beautiful. You're going to have a great summer. Europe, Anyway, look, thank you so much for your time. And
thank you so much for the great questions. Very thoughtful. Thank you.
Yes, well, no, take care and all the best for the year.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. And that was me in conversation with Joan As Police Woman, or Joan Wasser, talking about her life in music and also her new album, which is going to be coming out 20 years after the original Real Life Evolution. Check it out. Anyway, this has been the C86 Show. If you want to contact me, you can on any of the social media platform sites. Just do C86 Show. All these interviews have been archived on Spotify, iTunes, Podbean. It's true. Have a great week. Stay safe.